Joseph, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate your time and letting me be here.
Of course, my pleasure. So, my first question is deliberately simple, yet it requires a complex answer. I'll let you do that. So, who are you? What do you do? And why does it matter?
All right. So, real quick, in a nutshell, my name is Joseph Piko. I was born and raised in Oahu, Hawaii. Um, I ended up joining the military for 21 years, been all over the world. The military gave me a prime opportunity to travel a lot, especially throughout Europe. I've been to many different countries in Europe. Just to name a few, Germany, Italy, Spain, France, so on and so forth. After retiring from the military, I ended up going into real estate. So the first step I ended up taking into real estate that got me in the door was that I became a licensed loan officer, which ended up introducing the whole real estate market to me. And then I ended up wanting to start my own real estate company
Right.
because at some point we all got to continue to progress and learn, and I got tired of working for people. Um, so I ended up getting into wholesaling. I started with that part of real estate first. Um, and then the interesting thing about starting that company was, um, if you don't know what wholesaling is, so just real quick,
Yeah.
wholesaling is when an individual um, finds the seller of a property and they connect it with a buyer, an investor. So they'll make that transaction and connect that buyer and seller, and then they'll get pay a fee out of that real estate transaction once it closes, right? Um, so it's easy to get in because it requires no money for a lot of people, but it is hard work, and you have to put in a lot of work in creating leads and building a relationship with different investors, right? Because nobody wants to do business with people that they don't know. That's like one of the major rules. So you got to put your name out there and build that credibility behind it in order to do it. So, um, but going back to my original point, why it was interesting for me was that at the time we started our real estate company in Colorado, in the US, uh, it was around 2017. So the economy in Colorado was booming. A lot of people was migrating from California, New York, and moving to Colorado because it was getting too expensive in these states. So because they were doing that, the housing market went up, prices went up, and it was skyrocketing so fast to the point where uh, military soldiers and family members were moving there, but they have a basic housing allowance from the military if they have to move their family there. And that housing allowance is supposed to cover for the cost of getting a place to live in, right? Either renting or buying a home. But because the economy was booming at the time, the BAH, as we call it, the basic housing allowance, um, it wasn't enough for these soldiers and family members. So because we were getting homes for off market price, which was lower than the market value, we was able to take those homes, would renovate it, flip it, and then we were end up getting it to these soldiers and family members for under the market value. So we was making homes a lot more affordable for um, these military
Right.
members that were moving to Colorado. Um, and then I ended up creating a lot of revenue within real estate. I started investing, doing a lot of short-term rental, long-term rentals, and then I took the revenue I created from real estate and invested into a franchise, which was Subway.
Okay.
Uh,
Interesting.
so I, because once you get into a business, once you set it up, put the right processes and procedures in place, and then you hire the right people to manage it, you
It's
don't
like copy paste, yeah.
yeah, you don't really need to devote all your time into this business anymore. And that's the idea. That's what everybody should strive to do, is because you're basically buying your freedom back. And that your freedom and your time is priceless.
Mm.
And once you do that, you can go off and create something else or invest in whatever else or spend time with your family, travel the world and whatnot. But until you find a means to be able to buy your freedom back, you're always going to be a slave to that business or a slave to that company. right? It's because you're always going to be working in it. So we was able to do that. I invested into a bunch of subways in Colorado, um, and that worked out great. Same business plan that I just said, right? So I just partnered with the right people, people that I can trust. We hired the right individuals to manage the company, and it gave me the freedom to end up coming here to Poland.
So, Joseph, walk me through your first days in Poland. You arrive here, new country, new culture, new everything. What were you feeling? Tell me, give me the details.
That's a really good question. But like I said, my situation was a little different because my mom just passed,
Yeah, sorry to hear.
and I appreciate it. Um, and I ended up still making the decision to come here because, like I said, I don't believe in coincidences. I think everything happens for a reason, and despite of the timing, I felt like it was an opportunity that I had to take, regardless if I knew exactly at the time what that opportunity was gonna unfold or unpack for me. I knew that there was something there, and I needed to walk through that door. So when I did come to Poland, my mind really wasn't 100% focused on what I was doing because of the situation. So I didn't really have any expectations. Um, but the amazing thing was it blew me away from the first day that I've been to Poland. Uh, the country here. Let's just start with the people. The
All right.
people are so welcoming and so caring, and they're so honest. It's almost like it blew me away, right? Because I'll give you an example. I used to live in Germany for 10 years, and I don't know. There's gonna be I have family in Germany. And I don't know if they're gonna like this comment, but hey, I'm just being 100,
It's a
right?
confidential show, so.
I'm just being 100. So Germans are rude,
Oh, wow.
right?
Okay.
They are really not polite people, uh, just from the surface level, right? And it's really difficult to really incorporate yourself into the economy when they shut you out at every angle. Now, times have changed, but the first time I was in Germany was in '01. I experienced a lot of racism. And it's not just racism towards a culture, towards a nationality. It was racism towards an entire country. So I'll give you an example. The first time I was trying to go into a club was me and my friends, right? We waited at least an hour in this line. And as soon as we got to the door, the security guard said, "We're not letting Americans in tonight."
Wow.
And I just came from the US, right? And I'm from Hawaii. So I'm not the minority in Hawaii, right? Because I'm Hawaiian. I'm the majority. So this is the first time I ever experienced racism, you know? So I didn't know how to take it. It was something new. You see it on TV all the time and whatnot. But I'm 18, 19 years old at the time, and now I'm being told I can't come into an establishment because I'm American. And then I go to a restaurant and it's the same thing. Me and my friends are sitting at this table and we're waiting for like 30 minutes before I stand up to go get the waitress. And so when I go over there and I ask them, "Hey, excuse me, but we've been sitting here for 30 minutes. You haven't come by to serve us." She said, "We're not serving Americans tonight."
What? What city was this?
This was in Würzburg.
Okay.
I was stationed in Kitzingen when I first got there. Yeah. And this was in '01. So
2001.
yep. So it was an adjustment, and unintentionally you kind of grow these feelings and opinions towards the country because of the way you're being treated, right? For no reason, no cause at all. It's just the way you were born, right? And the only way that it even got better for me in Germany, because like I said, I was there for 10 years, right? And the only way it got better for me was because I played American football, right? I played American football through high school and in college. So there was an American football league there in Germany at the time. So I tried out for the team and I made it. So I used to play on the team during my spare time when I wasn't working. And because of that, that's where the popularity came in, and people started accepting you because now you have something in common,
Right.
right? So that's when it started getting a lot easier, and I started understanding a lot about people, right? Regardless if who you are in this world, some people, they just don't know, and it might not be that they're racist towards you. It's just that they don't understand you or are familiar with you, your culture, your style, your way of life, and whatnot, and they just formulate these opinions before they get to know you. But going back to Poland,
It did not
totally
happen.
different, totally different experience. Everybody in Poland, like when you talk to them, they want to talk to you. They want to get to know you. You see what I'm saying? So that's the difference. It's like there's no room for the racism because they try to understand you, your culture, where you come from, so that way they can build that relationship, right? So they can understand who you are, and it just builds a stronger bond from then on. And I've experienced nothing but that type of people and that type of mindset since I've been here in Poland.
And you didn't even come to Warsaw. What's the city you were in?
Excuse me.
The city you were in. You arrived to Poland the first time.
Oh, it was Yashanka.
There you go. So
Yeah.
it's not even the capital city.
Uh-uh.
So
It's this little city out on the skirts that's kind of close to the Ukrainian border. So
tell me, how did you feel when you came across this, let's say, encounters with Polish people?
interested, interested, excited, enthusiastic, and it's just they make you feel like seen. You know what I mean? Like they see you. And I think that's like the most important part, especially when you're a foreigner coming into another country, just acknowledging the fact that, hey, I see you. I want to spend the time to get to know you. Right? Like that means everything. Especially when you're coming from somewhere else and you don't know anyone. It's just you feel welcomed in the country. You feel like you can actually build a life there.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you can't help but think about your experiences back in Germany. It's funny because I did the same. I actually was living in Germany in 2010 in Berlin. And when you were talking about the club experience, legit has the exact same.
Yeah.
Except to me, he didn't say Americans. He said, they showed me your passports. I was like, why? And then I said, okay. So he said, no passport, you don't get in. I said, okay. So I went home and I came back with my passport. And then I showed it to him. And before even he opened it, he saw the, Arabic letters. And he said, no, we are not teaching Arabs. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
That's
And funny enough, a month later, I was invited to come to Warsaw. And I went to this club. And I keep repeating this story in the show, but it's very important. And the exact opposite happened. There was this guy, he saw me in the line and he picked me out of everyone. And he said,
Yeah.
sir, follow me to the VIP area. I was like, what? Why me? And the rest is history. So, okay, now you are in Poland, but before we get into the details, what can you tell me about your childhood growing up that will help me understand the man sitting in front of me today?
Oh, I've had a interesting childhood. Um, it's been nothing but challenges, but everyone has their challenges, in life. Everybody does. Everybody's on their own journey. Everybody goes through their own trials and tribulations. Um, but I have some crazy examples of things that happened to me. Um, so for example, at 13, I got into a really bad surfing accident because I used to surf, or I still do, right? Every time I go home. But I got into a real bad surfing accident and I was paralyzed from the neck down. Um, so I was in the hospital, bedridden for almost the year, going to rehab, trying to be able to walk again and whatnot. I think the the turning point for me when I was going through that was one night I woke up and my mom was crying next to my bed, right? And she was praying. Mom's this real big, devoted Catholic, all about the church, right? Um, but it's just seeing her like that just gave me the motivation to want to walk. And it wasn't just for me, it was, it was for her. Um, but that's what drove me to put the work in and try hard and just straight up believe that I was gonna walk again. And I told my mom while she was there crying, I was like, I told her, I was like, don't worry, I'm not just gonna walk, I'm gonna surf again. And she just got mad, right? I told her, I was like, the first thing I'm gonna do when I walk out of this hospital is I'm going to go to the beach and go surfing again. And she asked me, "Why would you do that if surfing is what put you here?" I said, "Because I love it. And if I feel like if I don't go back and do it, I would never do it and I'll be afraid of it for the rest of my life." And I couldn't live with that. So 9 months later, walked out of the hospital, went to the beach and went surfing. But I mean, there's a lot of other things that happen, but um I'll just touch on some of the events that
Yeah.
shifted my life.
Right.
So my dad passed when I was 9, right? That changed my childhood for the rest of the time I was there. Um, it forced me to grow up too quick. Uh, I'm the fifth youngest out of six. But at the time when that happened, my mom was a little bit seasoned, right? So she wasn't really actively working a job because she was already pretty old. Um, but what that did was end up making us, you know, qualify for low income. So we didn't have much growing up. So I had to do my part as I, I could I could honestly say the man of the house now, regardless if I was the youngest, the fifth, youngest out of six. Um, so doing all of the or taking on all the responsibilities for the home and taking care of my little brother, um, it didn't give me much time to be a kid, but I was able to use sports. That's how I play sports a lot. I work out a lot, do a lot of jujitsu and whatnot. But growing up, that was my outlet from everything that was happening. All the stress, all the problems that I was going through and whatnot. Working out, going to using sports, jujitsu, kickboxing, and all this stuff. It was an amazing outlet for me, and it helped me relieve stress, helped me stay focused on what was important, what I needed to do. Which, again, blessing in disguise, right?
Right.
Because even at this time right now in my life, I still do jujitsu. I've been doing jujitsu for at least like 13, 14 years now. Kickboxing, still working out, and still love doing sports and whatnot. But it has been the biggest game changer for me, not just in life, but even transitioning into business and the military. Because to be able to take on and handle all of those stresses and problems, you need an outlet. Everybody does. You need some way to relieve that stress. You need some way to recharge. And it doesn't need to be working out. Some people can just take, walks through nature, pray, yoga, whatever it is that helps you stay centered. That's all you need. And that way you can recharge and just continue taking on all the challenges in the world.
So I'll zoom here in the jiu-jitsu thing. So what do you think that this sport teaches you that you apply to your daily life or your business life?
Oh, where do I begin? So, biggest thing, jujitsu teaches you discipline. It gives you courage, because especially with the courage, you have to be special, especially in like the mental capabilities to go in there every single day, knowing you're gonna get your ass kicked, and just turn on and continue to do it until you get better and then you start loving it. But when I first started out in jujitsu, I got my ass kicked for like 6 months continuously every day. And I had to wake up every day knowing I was gonna walk into this gym and get my ass handed to me. And it just translates into life, because life is going to beat you down. It's going to throw these problems at you. It is always going to challenge you. It's going to push you to your limits, but you just got to keep going at it, keep taking it head on, and eventually you're going to end up overcoming these problems, situations, or whatnot. And at the end of it, you'll realize how better you have become because of it. You learn from it, you get stronger from it, you grow from it. And it's the same thing with jujitsu. Jujitsu teaches you so many things in life, that you can apply not only in business but in your everyday life.
Mm, interesting. Okay, because before we start shooting here, we had this conversation on the phone, and you mentioned that you see some parallels between Poland and Hawaii, and it reminds you back home. What did you mean by that?
Oh, I'm glad you brought this conversation up, right? Because I I talk to my Polish friends all the time, and when it comes to immigration,
Right.
um, it's a really touchy subject with them,
Wow.
especially how Ukraine was introduced, right, because of the whole war and everything like that. Um, so a little bit about Hawaii. A lot of people don't know this, but Hawaii was forced to become part of the US. They were invaded, we were taken over. They kept our queen prisoner and then forced her to sign a treaty to become part of the US, right? That's how we became the 50th state. So ever since then, we've been trying to hold on to our culture. We've been trying to fight for our way of life, because when it first started, we weren't allowed to dance the hula. If you don't know what hula is in Hawaii, so it's our way to pass down our family history, our stories, and whatnot in the form of dancing.
Mm.
So when all of that was happening, we weren't allowed to express and teach. We weren't allowed to talk our native language and whatnot. We were forced to learn English and everything. So after all of this was happening, um, President Clinton, when he became president, he acknowledged the wrongfulness of what the U.S. did to Hawaii, and then he ended up giving some of the land back to the native people and whatnot. But that don't help with what you've done.
Right.
You know, it doesn't fix the problem. All you're gonna do is just make everyone even more mad, because you actually admitted what you did was wrong, and you think giving back like certain pieces of land was going to fix what you've done throughout all these years. And it's not just the land that we own, it's the fact that you introduced immigration into Hawaii, but you did it in a way that it was not conducive to the native Hawaiians that was living there. So they just opened the gates to everybody. You have Japanese people coming there, Chinese people, Filipinos, you name it, everybody's there. They call it the mixing pot of the Pacific now,
Mm.
right? So if you go there, the number one language that is spoken is not Hawaiian anymore. It's English, right? You will not find anybody that's 100% Hawaiian anymore. You barely will find anybody that's 50%. I'm lucky. I'm like one of the lucky few to be 72%. Right, and that is uncommon now. Everybody's mixed. Not everybody, like I said, can speak Hawaiian anymore. Barely anyone can. So we're at a point where our the Hawaiians had to start a sovereignty group, is what we call it, on the islands. And what they do is they fight for the rights for Native Hawaiians to be able to speak the language, to fight back for the land, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? But because of all of this that was happening, right, the similarity to Poland is, when I see Poland now, I see them at the beginning stages of what Hawaii was at before the US forcefully took over, right? Because the interesting thing about this is Poland has a prime opportunity right now, and that is to show the world how to properly introduce immigration into a society to where it doesn't overbear anyone that's living in it, right? they have an opportunity to do it the right way and show everybody else how to do it. Because if you look at the US is deporting people because we have so much illegal immigrants. You look at France, you look at UK, everybody's having these immigration problems because we just opened the gates and just let people come in. And now we're trying to backtrack to fix all of these issues that's arisen because of it. But the reason why Poland is so successful is because they're real strict with their immigration rules and regulations, right? And I get it. The European Union is trying to force it down their throats, trying to tell them what to do and whatnot. But I honestly, and I usually tell my Polish friends this, I believe Poland should fight for their rights. I believe they should fight for their country. They should fight for their religion, their way of life, like fight for it. But change is inevitable,
Right.
right? We can't stop change, but we can show the world right now in Poland how to introduce immigration into a thriving society, right? I mean, there's some things that I thought about that could be introduced whenever you bring a new demographic into the environment, right? Um, Number one, make sure they're legally right, registered, signed up, and whatnot, and then even offer these individuals like I don't know what you would call them.
Classes or something.
Yeah, like custom
Integration.
Yeah, exactly, right? And just teach them about the culture, teach them about the people, teach them about the religion, their way of life, right? Because and this goes with religion, right? Like you can't learn to love somebody or respect somebody if you don't know them,
Right.
right? And that's so true. Like if you introduce people into an environment and it's not theirs, and you don't teach them about the culture, the people, and whatnot, how are they supposed to respect them? They don't know them. So now it's up to this individual person to make that decision for themselves, whether I want to be part of your country or I'm just mad because I'm forced to be here because my country's going to shit. You see what I'm saying? So now you have a person that has an individual perspective and they're going to decide what they want to do and how, if they want to make living here in Poland the best that they can. But if you introduce them into it like the right way, like we're talking about, give them classes and whatnot, right? Um, they will find and hopefully learn to grow respect, hopefully learn to grow the love for the country, the people, and then hopefully find the purpose to be here. So maybe you might want to live here, right? So I think Poland has an amazing opportunity to do this and show the world how to do it right.
Right. So what do you think currently is Poland is doing right and doing wrong or can improve on?
Oh, that's a big question. That's that's a really good one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I gotta think about that one.
Of course, man.
That is
No worries. I mean, we've already talked about the good side.
There's a lot of good things.
Yeah.
Okay, so a few good things that Poland is doing right, and I know this is happening in some other countries, right? But education is number one, right? You don't need to pay for education unless you do it on the weekends, right? And then you pay it out of
Right.
pocket. But for the most part,
Private, yeah.
yeah. But for the most part, education is free here, and it's not education to where like I just finished high school, like in the U.S. It's you can finish a bachelor's, you can finish a master's here, and it's all paid for. Um, their medical system, I honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I honestly wish the US would adopt a lot of Poland's systems that they set up, especially for medical, because it is a huge issue and problem in the US with medical. Everything is so expensive. The prices are high for medication, things that people need to survive, right? Insulin. It's it's just crazy. A lot of people that is working minimum wage can't afford the medication. They can't afford to pay their rent, the car, electricity, and so on and so forth. They can't afford all of it. Now, to to have a human being sit there and go, "What do I need more right now? Do I need my insulin shot or do I need food?"
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's inhumane. So I don't understand why the medical system cannot be adopted like Poland into the US. especially with education. Education is, you pay $75,000 just for a bachelor's degree in the US. It's depending on the university, it's over 100K, but that's only for 4 years. And in Poland, it's free till you get a master's, which is it's mind blowing. So personally, right, I had to join the military in order to get college money to finish college, right? And even after I finished my bachelor's, which it took me a lot longer than 4 years because I had to do it in between work while I was in the military to finish. So that took a lot longer because in the military you don't have a normal work schedule. You work until the mission's completed.
Right.
So on your off time, weekends and whatnot, then you got to put the work in order to complete college. But you be only doing like 2 classes per semester because you don't have the time to take 4 to 6 classes like normal people would. But I had to join the military in order to do that. So I had to give up my time in order to get a college education. And people in Poland, it's free. To even get my master's, I had to finish my degree while I was in the military for my bachelor's, because while I was in actively working, they would pay for the bachelor's, the military. If I got out, they gave me the money for the master's. So once I got out, once I retired, I was able to complete my master's because of the military.
I see. So without it,
Without it, I wouldn't have any college degree.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I had to go that route. There's ways of getting it. I get it, but the amount of money that you spend for a college degree is the biggest ripoff in the world. Because I'll put it to you like this, right? So a college degree doesn't guarantee you a job, right? So I'm paying $75,000 to $100,000 to go to college for 4 years, right? Once I get out of college, I'm in debt. I owe $75,000 to $100,000 for student loans. So I'm already in debt and I'm not guaranteed a job. So it's to me, it's the biggest scam you could ever think of, right? And all of these universities and all of these donors and whatnot, they're making all of this money off of the American people because of this college education. And technically, and this is what I tell everybody, right? Do you need an education? I know I think I'm gonna get heated on.
It's late for this one.
Look, I'm gonna get heated on this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Is education the most important thing? No, it is not. Your dream is the most important thing because your dream will determine what type of education or if you need any to be able to do it. So is education important? Yes. If your dream is to become a doctor, if your dream is to become a lawyer, yeah, it's important. Is it important to be is an education important to be an entrepreneur? No. Because entrepreneurs, you can get all of the education you need self-taught by mentors, by reading books, right? The information is free on the internet. Now, is it good to get an education? Yes, it is. But everybody's going to get a basic education, graduate high school and whatnot. But it depends on what your dream is. And that's what I tell everybody. Follow your dream. Don't chase the money. The money is a byproduct of your dream. Once you learn what you love doing, monetize it. The money will come. And depending on what that dream is, you don't need an education. You might just need a bachelor's or you might just need a master's, right? Or if you're a doctor, you're going to need a doctorate's, right? But that dream is going to determine what level of education you need.
Beautiful. What was your dream?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. So my dream was to play American football in the NFL. That didn't happen. I thought, oh man, this is crazy. Okay, I thought I was God's gift. I'm not gonna lie, right? But hear me out though. This is a great lesson learned.
Let's hear it.
I was going off of straight talent. So I'll come to practice, and this is in high school. I'll come to practice, and after study hall, we go to the weight room, we lift weights, and then we go to practice. Well, I never lift weights. I didn't hit the gym. I just sat there, just bullshitted the whole time where all my friends and everybody's working out and everything. And then when I came into practice, I just started balling out and having fun, right? So I just thought I was just naturally good. I had this big head about me, horrible work ethic, right? I made it into college. I did. Got a couple college scholarships to play football in college for University of Oregon, University of Utah, a couple JVC colleges or JV colleges. But it didn't last long because once you get out that high school level, the group starts narrowing down. So now you got the cream of the crop. So you going up against the one percenters. Yeah, right. So now the question is, how hard are you willing to work for this? And like I said, I didn't have a good work ethic. I just thought I was going off of natural talent. I thought I was the best in the world, and that me playing in the NFL was already written. And it was a good hard lesson learned for me. It was a rude awakening when I got into that level, and I started to see how you need to work at what you want. You have to put the work in it, because you cannot run off of straight talent. Some people are talented, yes, but that's not going to be sustainable. It's not going to last. Hard work, dedication, right? Discipline, great mindset, all of that stuff is the skill sets you need. Not even just sports. This is just life. You can't be successful without all of those skill sets. So that was a hard lesson learned for me. But that's how I transitioned
Right.
into business.
So let's talk about this transition then, because you strike me as a man with a lot of experiences in different, let's say, walks of life. Yeah. And so the military, football, the real estate, what else?
Subway,
The
franchise.
subway, yeah, the franchise. So,
And then, yeah.
so someone is listening to us now and he's thinking about business, like, hey, I need to do this thing, and we want to inspire them. Which can you tell me?
Well, I'll give you 3 values that I hold high.
Right.
And not just, so these values, they're interchangeable, right? Because I believe that whoever you are, the core being of you, it shouldn't change depending on what you're doing. You should translate that into what you're doing. So I'll give you an example. The first one first value I hold high is integrity, honesty, transparency, right? Authenticity, being authentic.
Authentic.
Yeah. So all of that translates into business, because I need to be honest with, let's say, a business partner. We got to have transparency. Same thing with running a company. You can't build trust without that. You can't build your credibility or your name without you being honest and having integrity, right? Because at the end of the day, my dad told me this one time before he passed. He said that at the end of the day, our name is all we have. People will know you before you even open your mouth by your name. So don't fuck it up. That's what he told me.
Yeah.
But he was 100% right.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, it's who you are. It's how people will know you for being you, right? And a lot of people want to do business with you if you're honest, all right? If you have transparency, integrity, like, that's 100% true. The second value I'll say is you need to inspire to grow. And it's not, like I said, it's not just you. It's everything you do. You have to inspire to grow. And it's not just yourself, but if you're in charge of other people, right? If you are a leader or a manager, you have to inspire your subordinates to grow, right? You have to encourage that. You have to want to continue to learn new things, to continue to try new things out in order to, figure out who you are on this journey that you're walking on, right? So basically, I believe that everyone's on their own individual journey, and the goal in life is to figure out who you were actually meant to be. Because I and this is just me, I think God put a gift in every single person when they're born. And I think that when you go on journey in life, it's about trying to unlock that gift. That gift meaning your true potential. You spend your whole life trying to figure out what that true potential is. Now, I think that's the key, because once you do, then you find out that person you was always meant to become. But does it always happen? No. Like, hardly anyone in life lives long enough to figure that out. Like, I'll give you an example. If you used to walk into a cemetery, try to name anybody on those stone heads. Can't. So those people are the ones that die without living up to their true potential, right? They didn't build a legacy or made a long-lasting impact in this world, right? So I think you need to continue to grow, continue to inspire. And like I said, not just yourself, but if you're responsible for people, if you're responsible for kids, if you're responsible for a business, it's your job to train them, to develop them, to coach them, teach them. And here's one thing I want to put out, because a lot of companies do this, and I hear it from a lot of workers, right? If you're in a company and you feel like you ain't growing and it's stagnant, you come into work, it's Groundhog's Day every single day, right? 9 times out of 10, you're in a toxic environment. 9 times out of 10, you work for a toxic leader. They're not even leaders, they're managers, right? Because they're only there to do the bare minimum, just to get the job done that was asked of them, and that's it. But that's a manager. But if you work for a leader who cultivates growth, inspires, right, innovates, you will be fed, not just physically, but mentally every single day you come into work, because they're giving you the knowledge. If I'm your leader, I want to train you so you take my job. That's my job. Because guess what? I'm supposed to be training myself to take the next person's job. So if I'm not doing that, then obviously everybody else below me is not going to move up.
What did you learn from your lowest point in life?
Oh, I said the biggest lesson that I've learned is that God is real and he is always with me.
Mm.
There's been so many trials and tribulations, situations that I've been in, life or death ones too, a lot of them. And no matter how hard life got, or even in situations to where I found that it was just me by myself, God was always with me. And I don't know, a lot of people, when they know me, especially my friends, they don't think I'm a super religious person. I'm not, you know what I mean? But I believe in what I believe. If you want to believe in what you believe, that's fine. You know, hey, more power to you. But it's just I can't sit here in front of the camera and and just act like that's not true. Because the reason why I'm sitting here in front of the camera in Poland in front of you is because of God.
Beautiful. What is winning for you?
Winning. I don't. This is gonna sound a little interesting. I don't see winning as something that I achieve. Winning to me is me trying to make the best positive impact I can in the people and the environment around me at that time. So my definition of winning is if everybody else around me is winning. Because I think you have to put purpose in your life. Money's money, right? And once you start buying all of this stuff, cars, house, whatever, it gets old quick. It's materialistic. There's no value in it. Like, there's no sustainable growth in it. It's just meaningless. So I believe that you have to put purpose into what you're doing, and that's what makes me feel like I'm winning, because I put purpose in some of the actions and opportunities that I take. I try to improve the economy around me. I try to make a positive impact in the people's lives that are around me, and I think that for me, it makes me better. And that's why I feel like winning.
Beautiful. You mentioned that you have a Polish friend that is very close to your. I guess she's with us here.
Yeah. Yeah, she's here supporting me
Can
as
you
usual.
expand on that friendship with the Polish person?
Yeah. So, shout out to Kinga,
Mhm.
right? That's her name. So she has been my best friend for the last 2.5 years. She was the first Polish friend that I made since I've came to Poland. But it's just, and this is just a lot of people in Poland, but specifically we're talking about her. But she is intelligent, driven. I can have real great intellectual conversations with her, right? She understands me. And then just right off the bat, we just started hitting it off when we first started talking because I think that we share this understanding, which is crazy because she's from Poland, I'm from Hawaii. I didn't think we had anything in common. But once you get to know someone, you start realizing a lot of similarities with each other. And like we got to start to talking with friendships, business, and that's where I started realizing I'm like, wow, I just met this young woman who's all the way across the world that has the same business like mindset as me, which is crazy. So we started getting into real estate together. Um, Started putting in a lot of work and whatnot, and at first, it was an opportunity because I was looking to continue on the real estate thing, but I honestly wanted to try to invest into Poland,
Right.
honestly. The problem is Poland real estate rules and regulations is not tailored for immigrants.
All right.
Yeah,
Let's hear more of that.
which by all means I understand and I agree with it, right? But it just means that I needed to put into work, right? So I needed a peso number, for example. So
Right.
I had to go and apply and everything like that in order to even um, uh, purchase a property here, right? And then in order to get a bank account or a business bank account, I needed a peso number to do that too. So there were some challenges in between, but interesting fact is she visited Dubai. Uh, I think months before the opportunity to invest into a business investment property here in Poland came up, right? So she came back from Dubai, and then we started talking about investing into a investment property here. And because I kept running into these issues, like I just said,
Right.
she did the legwork and the due diligence and started researching into Dubai. She looked up and learned the rules and regulations in order to invest there. She started building the connections with the people down there, development people, or the development company, some of the real estate agents and whatnot. So she started formulating all the relationships that you need in order to establish and find a investment property there. And then she came up and proposed this whole idea to me. Sat me down. We went over all of this stuff, checked the numbers, checked the area, right, the economy and whatnot. Because the biggest thing in real estate is they tell you don't invest into a market that you are not familiar with.
Right.
And keep in mind, I've never stepped in that country,
Mm.
never stepped foot in that country. And she proposed this whole plan, did the legwork, the due diligence, and everything. And in November, we closed on our first investment property in Dubai and
Congratulations.
open a real estate company there.
Beautiful. Well done.
Yeah.
I'm only asking because I want to know, how do you navigate? Because you're doing some business here in Poland, right?
Yeah.
And if someone would like to come to Poland and do business, what would you tell them?
If someone wants to do business here in Poland,
What advice would you give them?
I would say just figure out what you want to do, what market you want to get into, and do the due diligence because not every idea is going to work here. You have to take a look at the demographic. You have to look at the culture, right? You have to look at the people, because this is one of the biggest things. Business is about people. Life is about people, right? Um, you have to tailor towards the people and the culture within this environment. So not every business model is going to work. It just depends on what you're trying to get into. So whatever that idea is, I would say just when you come here, get to know the culture, get to know the people, the demographics, the areas, because it matters where you're going to set business up in, right? And just look at the economy. Just do the legwork, and do the due diligence. And I think if you put the effort in, with starting off with that, it'll build a good foundation for whatever business model you're trying to build here. But if you ask me if there's an opportunity here, there's a lot of opportunity here.
Right.
A lot. Poland is up and coming, and in so many different markets, in so many different areas, um, especially even with their military, um, even with them, even with Poland expanding their military and their defense, it opened up more jobs for Americans to come here. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, because Poland is up and coming and everything is happening, it's opening up so much doors of opportunity for everybody, especially people with a lot of different skill sets. So I would tell people definitely invest in Poland, right? But just do the due diligence. Yeah.
Be careful. Yeah, I understand. Beautiful. I see. So, with all what we talked about today, Poland and your life story, your inspiring life story,
Interesting.
what is next for you? Do you see yourself living here forever? I know the word forever is, a little tricky, but because you've been here for 2 years and a half already. So, you see yourself going back home perhaps one day?
So that is a really good question. I'm glad you asked that question. Do I love it here in Poland? Yes, without a doubt, I do. It's it's hard too, because once you make really great friends, you know, like Kinga and whatnot, and once you set a lot of roots down, it's hard to walk away. The thing is, I have I have this major goal that I've been working towards. And it's funny because, like I was saying in the interview, I think everything happens for a reason. And a lot of things that I've accomplished here and the relationships that I built here, I think it's still prepping me to accomplish this major goal that I want to do, right? So maybe we can start my official campaign here
Yeah,
on the
let's
show,
go,
right?
man. The floor is yours.
So I want to um, become the governor of Hawaii,
Oh, beautiful.
right? Now, I'm not just saying that just to say it. I'm saying that because of everything we've been talking about in the beginning with immigration and whatnot. There is so much problems in Hawaii, so much problems, from immigration. Like, I'll tell you how bad immigration is. Hawaii had to set a no tourist law on Sundays, so tourists can't go to any tourist spots on Sundays because it's so overpopulated. So and it's Hawaii. So when there's too much people, it starts damaging the environment and the indigenous species that are from native to Hawaii. So they had to impose a no tourist law on Sundays, which tells you, like, there's so many people there.
Serious.
Yep. Um, Also, a lot of tourists come there and they buy up all the homes, right? And what they do with these homes is they just turn around and Airbnb them out. But you got to think of Hawaii as this little island. They're just little islands in the middle of the Pacific. There's only so much room. You can only build so much homes there. So what happens when all these rich people come here and they're buying up the land, they're buying up the homes? What happens to the native people there?
They get kicked out.
Exactly. And that's what's happening. A lot of the native Hawaiians are moving. Number one, because it's getting too expensive, right? Everything there is monopolized. So the person that starts the little mom and pop shops,
Yeah.
like, they can't battle these these franchises and all of these businesses that are
Big guys,
monopolized.
yeah.
Exactly. They can't go against them.
Mm.
So a lot of the businesses that used to thrive, the small businesses there, they can't. So there's not even a middle class anymore there.
Wow.
You're either poor or you're rich.
Mm.
The taxes there are just insane. You know, in 2024, Hawaii became the #1 most expensive state for cost of living in the US.
Wow.
They finally beat New York.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yep.
So if you are now the governor of Hawaii, what would be your first actions? Let's say, what would you like to achieve in the first 100 days?
I honestly would love to talk to a lot of the leaders
Mm.
in the Hawaiian culture, especially like the sovereignty
Right.
nation that I was telling you about. I would spend the time to get the feedback from them. What do they see from their end, the battles that they've been fighting? Where can I start to make the most impact and the most difference, the biggest difference I can make in Hawaii? I would start there, because who look, I'm just saying this, but whoever's been leading Hawaii,
Mm.
right? I'm not gonna name names. You guys can look it up. You just Google it. Not doing a good job, right?
Right.
They're failing us. And I don't think that I'm like this savior and whatnot, but I care enough and my drive is that big to where I really want to come back to make a positive impact in the place that I was from, right? Because I want to get back to my people. I want to make a difference in my, state and my country from where I'm from, you know. So I love Poland, I do. It's just I got dreams I gotta finish.
Wow,
You know?
beautiful. I love that. I'm gonna vote for you. Even I'm not allowed to, but spiritually, I'll vote for you.
Appreciate
Well, listen, Joseph, this has been a wonderful conversation. Is there anything that is important that we haven't spoke about today that you want to mention?
there is one little
Yeah,
tidbit I do wanna say, right? So
go for it.
I wanna give a shout out to all of my friends over at Help Gracie. Uh, it's a jujitsu club over in Jeshoff where I train at. All of those guys, that's down there. So interesting thing, and like again, another testimony to how welcoming the Polish people are. The first day I walked into that jujitsu gym. Now, a lot of times sometimes you have to worry about the guy that has the alpha male attitude, the one that wants to puff out his chest and whatnot.
Mhm.
And then the other thing was, I didn't know if anybody spoke English,
Right.
right? But I love jujitsu so much, I wasn't gonna quit doing it. So I got myself up, went down to that gym, and these guys was nothing but amazing and welcoming and warming. And these guys made me feel like I was part of the family. Like I was training there for years, and this is my first day. Like I give you an example. The instructor was teaching in Polish, right?
Right.
But I've been doing jujitsu long enough to where I can see you doing the moves. So I understand what you're doing, but I can't get the intricate details because that's how they explain it.
Right.
But he was doing it in Polish. So the guys just came next to me, sat next to me, and started translating everything in English for me. I didn't even ask them or anything. They didn't even ask me if I spoke Polish. They just assumed because of the
Felt
way. Yeah, it was like,
Catholic, yeah.
yeah, it's like, I don't think he knows. I don't think he knows
What's going on?
So, let me translate this for him real quick, And so like,
Beautiful.
yeah, and they just helped me and guided me through that whole, the whole first day and whatnot. And ever since then, they made me feel part of the family, And I just wanted to give a little shout out
The
to those
Polish
guys. Yeah.
hospitality.
Hey, I'm telling you, these guys, and there's a lot of them, a lot of big, huge, some of them real ugly looking, but scary. Let's say scary looking. But these guys are like the biggest, like,
Hearts.
yeah, they're like gentle giants, man.
Beautiful.
Just love them.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Joseph, thank you so much for coming to the show. I really enjoyed this conversation. It was eye-opening. And any last words you want to say?
No, I just wanted to say I really appreciate your time. Thank you for letting me come here. And I just hope I did Poland right.
You did.
So.
You did. Well done, sir. Well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.